Hey everybody, Buzzsaw Gaming here, and happy to bring you my Sega Genesis collection. Now, it's not the biggest collection in the world, it's only 20 games, so this is my top 20 for Sega Genesis. In the background, I have Altered Beast playing, which is probably my most nostalgic game, I would say, for Sega Genesis. Now, as far as my history with this console, at the time I was playing regular Nintendo and then Super Nintendo. I always liked the Sega Genesis, and I really liked TurboGrafx 16, but unfortunately I never got those two at that time. I always liked the aesthetics of the original console, this right here. And I remember as a kid walking to, I think it was called Warehouse Music or something, like some kind of music store, but they also had video game related items inside, and always seeing the Sega Genesis with the Altered Beast pack in, and loving the box art and how it looked. Of course, as a kid, I never had enough money to buy it. I had just enough pocket change to buy a Metallica CD or something like that. That was the most. Yeah, my Sega Genesis memories really go to the arcade. So there was an arcade growing up, and kids used to rent it out, or I guess their parents would rent it out for them for their birthday. And it was a small arcade, maybe 20 machines, kind of a large room, and that's about it. And every game would be available for free, of course, when it was unlocked. And I remember playing a lot of Golden Axe, actually. Here's Golden Axe right here. And playing that co-op with my friends, just picking out the elf and just bashing things with it. So that's kind of my memory with Sega Genesis. Unfortunately, I didn't have it growing up, but I really like it, and I think this is Sega's best console, in my opinion. So it's a really strong console. It was their best seller. They had a lot of different add-ons as well. As you know, the Tower of Power, they had the CD attachment that would go on it. They had the 32 acts that would go on top, and all this different stuff. But I just stuck with the original, kind of with my TurboGrafx 16 collection. I just have the original. I don't have the CD attachment. Same with Sega Genesis. I just have the base system. Unfortunately, I don't even have the box for it. And I have 20 games. And as you can see in my game collection, it's actually mostly loose cart for the most part. I really just have 5 games that are complete in box, and that's it. Pretty small collection of 20 games. Anyways, going over the games, we talked about Altered Beast and a little bit about Golden Axe. Next I have Strider. Now that's just their typical Sega Genesis. That screams Sega Genesis. So I had a lot of fun with that game. I love the graphics. I love that swishing sword that you have. Below that I have Street Fighter 2. I believe it's Special Championship Edition, this one's called. And it's a great game. Street Fighter 2, anyway I can get it, I love it. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. Lots of memories with this on the Super Nintendo, and I really like the Sega Genesis version as well. And then Afterburner 2. What else screams Sega Genesis than Afterburner 2? It's another one of those iconic games that I think are just must-have, or top 20 for me, for Sega Genesis. Here you have the case for Afterburner. Not Afterburner, sorry about that. Altered Beast, which I love the box art on it. I think it's really, really cool looking, really interesting. Now over here you have the original Sega Genesis arcade power stick. Now this is a lot of fun. It's good for Street Fighter. It's just a 3-button one, but it's just nice to have a joystick. And I like the aesthetics of it as well. It matches really nicely with the original Model 1 Sega Genesis. Yeah. Oh, by the way, this is the Sega Genesis. It has high definition on the back. You can't see because of the cartridge. So that's the one with the better sound, I guess, is what I recall. And the controllers. The original Sega Genesis controller, I've loved this controller. It's big. I kind of have big hands, and it's I need more room. So to have this with 3 buttons, and it's just nice and curved. I think it's again one of my favorite controllers. absolutely no complaints. It's really wonderful. And the Sega Genesis 6-button pad. Now the 6-button pad, to me, actually, I don't like as much as the original 3-button controller. I know a lot of people do like this. It's got 6 buttons for fighting games and things like that, but I just didn't like the contours or the feeling in my hand as much as the big giant original Sega Genesis pad. So, but I have one anyways. Okay, and as far as the games, let's go back to, we went over the complete in box, and here we have my loose card games, starting out with Return of Shinobi. That was the ninja craze at the time. That's one of the best, all-time best as far as Sega Genesis games. Again, it's just very iconic for the system. Super Thunderblade, oh, I remember playing that in the arcade all the time. They had that machine where you'd sit in, where it's like you're in the cockpit of this helicopter, just shooting things down. A lot of fun with that as well. And I like the graphics and all that. Really cool game. Alicia Dragoon. Now this is a unique and interesting game. It's you spit out like this lightning bolt, and you get upgrades to it. It's a really fun game. It's totally unique too. It's completely unique. It's Sega Genesis. It's, when I collect for a console, like I said before, I just collect the top games that I want. I don't have a lot of room or want to clutter up my space with things that I don't want. So I just collect the best of the best, the ones that are iconic and exclusive to the system. So that's Alicia Dragoon. Next, you have Joe Montana Sports Talk Football. I mean, look at that. Look at how young he looks right there. Yeah, Sega Genesis was known for its sports games, so that was a really fun football game. Lots of fun playing with buddies with that game. Over here, well, we'll go up here first. Last Battle. Last Battle is a lot of fun. It's just another one of those kind of side-scrolling kind of beat-em-up games. The character sprites are large, and it's a lot larger than what the original Nintendo could produce, and just another fun game. Outrun. Oh, the original Outrun. That's an amazing game. I mean, the graphics at the time, and driving around that red Ferrari, and even your sidekick when she's waving her arm as you're passing other cars and doing things like that. That's iconic and pure Sega Genesis, I'd say. Herzog Zwei. Oh, this is a complicated game. Unfortunately, I don't have the manual. I need to get it. Your mech morphs into an airplane and then a mech, and you can kind of a strategy type game. So a really cool game, but I need to get more into it to understand more, basically, I would say. But the graphics are amazing, and again, it's unique to Sega Genesis. It's unique to the library. It's what makes this library unique. Are these these 20 games and probably a couple more. I mean, when I think about it, I really like my collection at 20. I think it's a good number. If I were to ever expand it, well, if money wasn't an issue, let's say that, I guess I would probably get Musha, which is an awesome game. Can't afford it, obviously. It's quite an expensive game nowadays. And then Crusader of Senti, the Zelda clone that they have, that's also looks really interesting as well, like a kind of an upgraded version of Zelda, I would say, almost like a Link to the Past type game. So those two I would add if I could, but I'm sticking with my 20 for now. Rambo 3, I mean, look at that box art. I mean, the Rambo craze was huge during that time, the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, that was Rambo's time. He could do everything just with his cool knife, and a gun or something. But yeah, that's a fun game again. It's another kind of, well, maybe Contra-ish type game, something like that. Rocket Knight Adventures. I mean, this is consistently a top 5 game for most people. On Sega Genesis, it's unique. I mean, you're a possum. You got a jetpack on you, so I mean, there's nothing else like it that I know of. Road Rash 2. Now, Road Rash is fun. I mean, that's another racing game, and just kind of epitomizes the Sega Genesis. And not only just racing, you can punch and kick. So it makes it a lot of fun, and I think that screams Sega Genesis as well. Dinosaurs for Hire. I mean, this is a quirky game. It's really interesting. It's basically a running gun, but you're a dinosaur. I mean, and it starts out with this giant dinosaur right in the beginning. It's a lot of fun. It's a difficult game. It's not easy, but it's unique and very Sega Genesis, and very, very much of the time period. James Buster Douglas Boxing. I mean, this is a great game too. It's a big sprites, really cool looking. I mean, at the time it was Mike Tyson everything, but then James Buster Douglas beat him, and he became the top dog, and so he got his own video game with Sega Genesis. And it's a great game. I think the sports games are really strong in Sega Genesis, and this is another one. Alien Storm. I mean, what is there not to like about Alien Storm? I mean, look at that box art. It's just gorgeous. I mean, not box art, but you know what I mean. The art on the cartridge itself. Just going around, just mowing down the aliens. What's more fun than that? I mean, that's a perfect way to spend a Sunday afternoon, right? Pirate's Gold. Oh, this is interesting too. I mean, I think all of us as a kid, we wanted to be a pirate. We wanted to have a ship, sail around, and just kind of cause havoc. I mean, well, here you can do it in a video game format. So it's a lot of fun. Pirate's Gold. I really enjoyed this game. I really like, you have like a ship that actually sails around to different places. So it's quite an involved game. I mean, all of these games there's a lot going for it, I would say. The 16-bit era was just the best. I mean, in my opinion, that around that period of time was just the ultimate peak as far as gaming. And here, I think last but not least, you have Jungle Strike, the sequel to Desert Strike. This is fun because you're in a helicopter and you're just causing mayhem. I mean, in this game you can fly around, and I believe you can you can even shoot missiles at the White House. So I mean, it's just a complete fantasy game, a lot of fun. Just typical of that era, just the silliness of the graphics, of the games, of the content. So I really enjoyed it. Anyways, here is my entire Sega Genesis collection. It's not the biggest collection in the world, but for me it's satisfactory. I really like it. I really enjoy it. And maybe one day I'll expand and get a couple more games, but for now, this is my top 20. This is what I enjoy. The Sega Genesis is just one of those great iconic systems that will never go away. I mean, that was the peak of Sega. That was the console wars during that time, and it was absolutely a wonderful time to be around and to grow up during that era. So there it is, the beauty. And Altered Beast on the CRT. Thank you. Have a nice day. Like and subscribe.